Hi, I'm Ken Coles. Welcome to Plot Shots. We're now into the fall harvest. It's September 3rd today. And when we're doing research trials, we have no shortage of weeds. Beside me here was a demonstration plot we put together for one of the chemical companies. And you can see that in our untreated check, we now have a whole bunch of perennial weed issues. Things like prickly lettuce. Kochia is one of the biggest issues that people are being faced with this year. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some strategies that we can employ to try to manage some of these tougher to control weeds, especially with the drought that we've had the last few years. It seems that weed control is becoming more and more difficult, especially when you have a crop stand that really isn't all that competitive. So I know that there's some pretty ugly stands of crops and some low bushel yields. The real challenge with that is then this year we ended up getting a whole bunch of rain later in the season. We had quite a bit of rain in August. What happens then is there's not a good canopy closure, and the weeds are what start to take over. So now farmers are trying to harvest their crops. They're dealing with a crop that's mixed in with very green kochia, thistle, and things like that. So how do you deal with that? One of the best strategies is probably the pre-harvest approach now. And in southern Alberta, we don't tend to use the pre-harvest application all that often, but years like this actually would be a really good opportunity. So if you can plan ahead and use a glyphosate product ahead of time, more for the weed control than it is for the desiccation piece, then that helps. But then you run into issues with things like glyphosate tolerant kochia. So some of the good options are throwing in things like heat or carfentrazone, that's AIM, products like that will actually have activity, but at the same time, is it really enough to kill those types of weeds? Reglone, of course, will help dry out crops, but not necessarily giving you any perennial weed control. So it might help with with a weed like kochia, but if you're dealing with, say, sow thistle or Canada thistle, then all that's going to do is burn the tops off of the plants, and they're probably going to survive quite well. So I'd rather stick with a glyphosate product and dealing with that. Another issue as far as, or maybe an opportunity, is post-harvest application. So that's after you harvest. If we get enough fall moisture, some of those perennial weeds are going to be growing. A really great opportunity to control those products, again with a glyphosate product. Sometimes adding a tank mix partner isn't a bad idea as well. So that's one thing that we have to do here at the research farm. We always find that the year after our plots, because we have all of these spaces in between, we have these untreated checks, we have a major weed problem the following year when we're trying to rotate our crops on for what we're going to do there. So the farmers that are lending us land, or for renting land, they're, we're leaving them behind a whole bunch of weeds, and we can't do that. So we're definitely going to be doing some post-harvest applications, and just keep an eye, even mapping out where some of these weed problems are might help you out with some other strategies. So for kochia, for example, if we can map out where our kochia issues are, then we can apply some fall residual herbicides, some group 14 herbicides. So for example, Authority, if you're going to peas next year, one of the best ways to control kochia. And if you can map that out, you could actually do a variable rate application, just nail those spots where you had the really bad kochia infestations. You don't have to spray the entire field. You're saving your money and you're getting the job done. Things like Focus and wheat, awesome way at controlling those glyphosate tolerant kochia. So there's definitely a need to put a lot more attention into the weed control issues in the drought, because I don't think we don't have that crop competition that usually is our best friend in helping control weeds. So we have to do a little bit better job in trying to keep those under control so that you're not dealing with them for years to come. So thanks, good luck with harvest, and look forward to seeing you next time.